welcome back everyone. I'm Val and today I bring you another reaction video to some crazy travel stories people post on the internet. So let's get right to them. So at the end of last video, I reacted to a food poisoning travel story from this content creator that is a nurse, and she said she had more stories on Bali. So we're going to react today to another one of them.
Little did I know that I would yet again have an absolutely horrific experience while in a foreign country. I'm a nurse. I have never traveled that far before. So I was telling everyone, I'm like, you got to bring Imodium. Like, the food is going to make us sick. This is part of the experience. Fast forward, I was the only one who got sick out of the entire group, and I was very ill. I had recovered from the previous food poisoning experience, and for the backstory, 8 of us were on this trip together, 2 guys and 6 girls. Of the 6 girls, we all got to choose like what we wanted to do.
Where are you guys?
We are at the spa at the hotel.
And we all had one major thing that we kind of got to choose to do for the group. So one person really wanted to go to the Ubud Monkey Forest. One person really wanted to go, see the elephants, like whatever. So my thing was this hike, and I'll see if I can find a photo and put it here for you guys. My thing was this hike.
That's the most famous beach in Bali. If you haven't gone to Bali, that one of the most famous places is actually Nusa Penida, one of the small islands that are part of Bali. So it's not in Bali in itself, but in one small island. It's actually very beautiful. I heard they wanted to build an elevator on it or something, but the last time I went, there was no elevator and it was okay. So yeah, I know this place.
I was so excited about it, and the guys that we were with had been there for a month already, our friends, so they knew exactly how to get there. They'd already been there, and this hike required a 45-minute ferry ride. So it comes my day, I'm like, okay, tomorrow we're doing my hike, so excited. And we go out to dinner the night before, and little old me decides that it's going to be a great idea to eat the Balinesian food. Is that even how you say it? Balinese? I don't know. I was like, I'm going to have the authentic food, we're in Bali. Everyone else was getting American burgers, and I was like, no, we gotta have the Balinesian food. I woke up once in the night and went to the bathroom, but it wasn't that bad. So I wake up in the morning. We had to wake up at 6 a.m. for this ferry ride.
The wasn't that bad is what you think, and then you realize that indeed it was that bad.
To get there, to have the whole day on this island, and I quickly found out that it was not going to be the day that I thought it was going to be. To the spot, we're waiting for the ferry. I use a porta potty one more time, and I'm like, oh gosh, I think the food last night really messed up my stomach. It's not going to be good, but also, again, not the end of the world. Gotta keep it rolling. So we get on this ferry. It's 45 minutes on the ferry, and there are no bathrooms on this ferry. Within 10 minutes of being on the ferry, I'm like, oh no, this is not going to be good for anyone.
It is a local ferry, so it actually makes sense that there are no bathrooms. Actually in Southeast Asia, unless you hire a luxury ferry, you're not going to find things like that. So yeah. By the way, she was reaching the place actually through ferry, so she was going to hike up from the beach. You can actually do the opposite. So get to the viewpoint that is on the top by car, and then go down a bunch of crazy stairs to the beach. So you can do the hike either of 2 ways.
I am screwed. Again, full sweats, so stressed. What am I gonna do? All that you can think of is what if I can't hold it? What am I going to do? And
yeah.
I'm like, there's no way I can hike. This is crazy. So all I could think about was getting to a bathroom at that point. I made it through the ferry ride somehow by the grace of God. We get off, and let me tell you, this was just so bad. My sister is we get off the ferry, she's like, we gotta get a bathroom ASAP, while they're figuring out our transportation. So we're running over, no bathrooms to be found. I am in a full-blown panic. There are no bathrooms, and I'm just like, what am I going to do? We find a group of locals, and I'm sorry, go to part 2, but it gets really good.
Okay, yeah, so there is a part 2, so let's check that out.
At this point, this is just day 2 of me sharing my most embarrassing stories on the internet. Part 2 of me getting sick in Bali. So we get off the ferry. We've never been on this island before. We don't even know what it's going to be like. We see no bathrooms in sight. We're sick. So I find a group of locals, and I look like such a tourist, you guys. I am wearing a one-piece bathing suit, and I think some shorts over it, with sneakers, ready to go on this hike. The locals see me, and I'm like, I really need a bathroom. And you can just tell, I am in the position of I need a bathroom. And
the fact that she says that she looks like such a tourist, yeah, it's not only her dressing, but the way she looks.
Tourist.
and the place she's going, because that's actually one of the most touristic places in Bali. Like in the entire island, that little spot in Nusa Penida is like the spot. So makes sense.
And they literally look at me and they start cracking up. And I'm like, no, it's not, like bathroom, like need to go. And they start dying laughing. And then they just point like this. And I'm like, what are they pointing at? There's nothing there. Oh, there was something there. It was a hole in the ground. Hole in the ground.
Oh
with
my God.
a bucket of water next to it. No toilet paper, nothing. I'm like,
Oh my God.
God. Just look at my sister and I'm in tears. I am screwed. So I'm like, wish me luck. And again, there's no privacy. I'm just,
What are you supposed to do in that moment? Because it's either use that or literally, I mean, there's no other possibility. Oh my God. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I have a story about this.
Now I'm scared.
Like, I used to be a scout leader back when I was in Colombia. And once there was this camp I went to. So, you know, we're a scout. So we're meant to have some survival techniques and things like that. And we had to make a bathroom like this. That is basically a hole in the ground and you just use dirt to cover it up. So we actually made it more of a private place and there was indeed toilet paper. But yeah, they were 3 days of nightmares. Like, we're travelers and we're supposed to adapt to a lot of things, but that's where I drew the line. I'm gonna be honest.
You're no fun.
just like, oh. Like I said, I'm wearing a one piece and there's a bucket. I'm like, do I just go full off? Or do I do a side and try to use the bucket? Like, I'm mortified. So bad. I'll leave that one up to the imagination. So then we get on this trail. When I tell you this hike is vertical, like, there are the locals literally just put stakes in the side of this mountain and you use those to like climb down and up. God bless. And I did not have Imodium, by the way. I didn't even think to bring it because I only went once during the night and I didn't even think it was that big of a deal. So I get there in the heat. We're literally hiking for hours down the side of this mountain. No water. Didn't bring water. Didn't bring money. Didn't bring Imodium. Didn't bring anything. Survived it. And it was actually, I hate to say this. Like, I hate to say this. I think it was worth it. I think it was worth it.
Yeah, the place is actually very beautiful.
Didn't make it through that day, but traveling in foreign countries, man, it's a rough scene. My last story from Bali, or I mean, I have a million, but my last really good one is about me almost getting by the locals.
Oh my
Worst one of
God.
them all. Scarred me for life. Have a good day, guys.
She ends up on that note. We're gonna watch actually that one from her almost getting unalived by the locals in Bali. I'm gonna be honest,
Ugh, not this again.
I don't have any of those horror stories in Bali. The locals were super friendly to my friend and me, and we had a blast. Bali is actually very beautiful. I understand why so many digital nomads like to live there, so we actually loved it. But anyways, everybody has its own experience. So let's see the other story.
All right, you guys, horror story number 3 from Bali. This one is by far the worst, where I almost get by the local people there. And actually, no joke. So the story begins with 4 of us out of the 8 people that we were with deciding we wanted to ride the motorbikes, the scooters that everybody has there. The 2 guys we were with had been riding them for a full month. They had like a month rental, so they didn't need to come with us. And 2 of the girls didn't want to do it because they did not trust themselves to learn how to ride them. So 4 of us went to the bike shop. The other 4 went to a bar, and we were like, we're going to meet you at the bar after we set up with our new bikes. So we get an Uber to the bike shop, and that was our fatal mistake. Never split up. And never don't take boys with you in a foreign country. We show up, and the guy...
That's not true. That's not true. You can solo female travel. Come on. You don't need a man all the time.
Yeah, you do.
Yes, you do.
I must admit that there are some countries and territories where you might prefer to have male company, but it's not all of them. As a solo female traveler, I can be a testament of that.
is like, you need to show me that you know how to ride these. And we're like, sir, we don't know how to ride them. We're going to learn. He's like, you have to show me that you're not going to ruin the bikes. We're like, true, okay. So we're like sitting there, hopefully we got this. We didn't have it.
They don't do that in Bali anymore. Like, if you're going to rent a bike, you need to know how to ride it. They don't give you the once riding lesson anymore. So, which is good because things like that may happen.
I was like, I'll try first. If we can't do this, we're going to have to leave. I go to do it. I was like kind of making my way, but it was my first time ever learning. Anyway, I end up skidding on the side of this brick wall, like, that I was kind of riding along, and, like, instead of crashing the bike, I, like, tipped into it to try to, like, protect the bike, and I scratched my arm, and the guy freaked out, screamed at us for it. I did not damage the bike, and we decided to leave, because once I did that, everyone was like, oh, we're not going to be able to do better than that. Like, we should have learned this beforehand. And the streets in Bali are crazy busy with these bikes. Like,
they are.
The boys just made it seem so easy, and it wasn't. Anyway, so we're, I guess let's walk to the main road, and then we'll get an Uber. So we walk all the way down from where the bike shop was to the main road. As we're getting to the main road, this guy is like, I'll give you bikes. Come down this alleyway. And he was going so hard about coming down this alleyway, and as he was doing that, the guy from the bike shop had the first interaction with was taking his bike, kind of riding around us, and we were like, no, we're getting an Uber, please. And then the guy from the first bike shop starts getting really pissed. He basically is like, I want your money. And we were like, sir, we didn't rent the bikes, like, we're getting an Uber, we're leaving. And he was like, give me your money. You broke my bike. And I was like, we did not break your bike. He starts losing it on me, right? And I'm the target because I'm the one who messed it up basically the first time. So my sister starts getting really nervous because she's my older sister and she's trying to protect me.
Yeah, it's a little bit complicated because there is a very fine line there. Like, nothing happened to the bike, but there was still a minor accident. Like, she took the worst part of it, but still. So there is a really fine line there, especially because you're foreigners. So especially because the economic situation is complicated. So you see that sometimes they try to scam tourists in many places in the world. But here in the most touristic places in Southeast Asia, it's very, very common. It's not only in Southeast Asia, happens all over the place. Like in Paris, it's exactly the same. But yeah, basically, it's the locals' word against yours. So it's complicated.
As he is starting to take his bike and literally drive it into me, and I'm dodging him, running out of the way. And the local people there are just watching. They're not even trying to help or
nobody does
have
anything.
any concern for me. So we start freaking out. Go to part 2.
So yeah, here is part 2, but really that's the worst part always. Nobody does absolutely nothing. Not just the locals, but the tourists as well. Nobody does anything ever.
Could you dumb it down a shade?
Anyways, let's see this.
Part 2 of my absolute horror story in Bali, where I almost get by the local people. At this point, he has his bike and he's trying to physically run me over with the bike. And he's screaming, he's seeing red, and it's all directed at me because I was the one who tried to ride the bike and couldn't do it, right? So he had eyes out for me. My sister was kind of in between, trying to like block his view of me and like get his attention to like reel him back into like reality. And at this point, we realize we are in danger, and none of the local people are willing to help us at all. They're just staring blankly at us and do not care. So we are realizing we are in a major situation, and we are taking out all of our money. We're like, take everything we have because it's not worth it. And we literally are trying to give the man the money to leave us alone, and he is seeing red so much that he isn't even looking at the money. Like, he doesn't care.
Oh my
All
God.
he wants is me just, like, gone. So I think when they had tried to direct us down a side alley, I was so concerned we were getting trafficked. I was like, they're trying to get us to go down this alley to, like, mug us and take all of our stuff. Like,
Okay, I understand her concern because of the rumors. So yeah, it's actually really shady situation because at the end, like she's telling the guy didn't want to take the money. Maybe they just wanted to take more stuff, but her concern of them like trying to run them into an alley, it's actually terrifying. Remember that they were just females alone here. So yeah.
Like everything we have. And so thank God we did not go down that alley and stayed on the main road. And at one point, the two girls that we were with, the other two girls, they were not really as involved as we were. They were trying to like separate from us and figure out how to get help. So a random man, this guy is a freaking angel. He, as I'm still running and bursting out crying at this point, like we're freaking out. He stops on the side of the road and he's like, get in my car.
Oh my God.
And
Savior.
our two friends, Ange and Eva, get in this car right now. And I was standing there, guys, we can't get in this car. What if we get in the car? And they're trying to like traffic us. Like this is a whole scheme because the guy who was picking us up was way more American.
Yeah, I mean, I would understand the train of thought because what if it's an entire gang, you know?
Get help! Help him!
Like doing the whole scheme to get you either on the alleyway or in the car. That's terrifying.
And so I started freaking out. I was like, is this safe? And they're like, you guys, you have to trust us. We talked to this man. We believe it, and there's no other way to get out of this. Like, we are in danger. We have to go. So we decided to get in. And the guy, we all just start bawling our eyes out once we get in the car and realize that this guy is safety.
Yeah.
Our savior is here!
And he was like, you guys, this is just how it is here. The people are crazy. You know, there's no mental
That's
health
not true.
care here. And I'm like, yeah, we know. We know. It was like a full psychotic break, I swear to you. And we should have also known.
Okay, let's not generalize. Not everybody, not all the locals are like that there. Just like everywhere. Like, there is crazy people everywhere and there is very kind people. Like I said, I've been to Bali and I only encountered kind experiences. But it is true that in hyper-touristic places, you tend to find these experiences more often than in lay-low places. It's true.
Big red flag. There were no places with bikes. We had gone super far to get to this bike shop. We had Ubered there. There are bike shops on every corner and they were all sold out. This guy had like hundreds of bikes. He had so many bikes. Why was
Weird.
that? Long story short, we made a lot of big mistakes that trip with safety and just being young people in a foreign country, not realizing that you need to take a lot more precaution than we took. We were safe and it was the scariest day of my life. But I'm so grateful for my sister, and I'm so grateful that everything panned out the way it did. Let me know if you have any questions. I know it was kind of all over the place.
Well, that was that. That was a hard one and a very dangerous one. As a woman that also travels, I know that these situations can get really shady and really terrifying, especially if you're alone. At least she was not, and it was the middle of the day, and she was with other 4 females, and she found someone that could help them. But yeah, this can get really terrifying. But actually, moral of the story is exactly what she said. We need to be more careful when we are in a foreign country. Make sure to take all the precautions needed, especially if we are traveling on our own. So yeah, don't ignore the red flags. Let's move on to the next story.
One time my friend and I went on a road trip around California and we were staying in all Airbnbs. Now, we pull up to this one Airbnb. We are only staying there for one night, just passing through the town. Now, the way this place is set up, it was called an apartment on the listing, but when we walk up to the place, it is like an old house that must have been converted into these small apartments inside. Okay. Now, the first disconcerting detail, we walk up to the house. There is no security measure to get in the front door. It is just unlocked. There is no buzzer. There is no lockbox. There is no key code. Anyone can enter this building. Keep that in mind. Because when we go in, to the right are 2 apartments. One of them is the one that we're staying in. And to the left is a staircase. And what is at the foot of the staircase? It is a pickaxe. It is a pickaxe.
What?
Now, a detail that I previously left out was the activity that we had been participating in right before we went to this Airbnb. The activity was a haunted house.
You went to a haunted house and then you tried to check in on your Airbnb and realized that on the bottom of the stairs in the Airbnb there is a pickaxe. This comes out of a horror movie in itself. Oh my god.
So we've just come back from a haunted house, entered into this old house that has no lock on the door, and what do we see at the foot of the stairs? A pickaxe. So as you might imagine, we were not primed to assume someone's best intentions. So for whatever was planned with that pickaxe, I did have to foil those plans. I took the pickaxe and I put it in our apartment, locked the door, and the next morning we ran out of there. I did return the pickaxe to the foot of the stairs because the last thing I need is a vengeful pickaxe owner on my back.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of information he has.
Oh my god. Short but straight to the point. Actually, there are a lot of weird horror stories about Airbnbs, but yeah, you wonder what kind of background the owner of the Airbnb has. That was weird. So this is a short one. It says, POV, you witnessed for the first time the reason why Paris smells like pee. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest.
I've heard that before.
I've been to Paris and I actually stayed in Paris for around 3 weeks. And yeah, it's true. Let's see. Okay, it's away from downtown.
That's why Paris smells. Pee. In an open space.
Oh.
Are we sure we want to sit down on this bench? I can see like also.
Yeah. It actually doesn't just happen in Paris, to be fair.
That's disgusting.
But yeah, I can understand. So those are the stories for today. Some weird and some very dangerous ones. But remember that not everybody needs to have a horror experience when they're traveling. Leave me in the comments if you have any traveling horror stories you want to share with this community. And don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you like the video. That's all for today's video. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so YouTube keeps helping us grow. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you all on the next reaction.